At number 10, we have the Great Emu War of Australia. This notable conflict traces its roots back to the early 1930s. You might be wondering, a war against birds? Yes, you heard it right. This wasn't your typical war where nations fought against each other. This was battle between man and bird. The year was 1932, a time when Australia was recovering from economic downturn, and the farmers were desperate to protect their crops. These crops were being threatened by a terror from the sky, the emus. These flightless birds had begun to migrate from the inland regions towards the coastal areas in search of water and food, and in doing so, were causing significant damage to the farmers' livelihood. The situation was so dire that the Australian government declared an all-out war against these feathered. The emus weren't just any ordinary birds. They were agile, fast, and seemingly strategic in their actions. Despite several attempts to curb their population, the emus continued their onslaught, causing havoc to the crops. The government even deployed machine guns, but to no avail. The most surprising outcome, though, was the result of this war. The emus won. They emerged victorious against the humans, making it an unparalleled event in history. This is the only recorded incident where birds have won a war against humans. Who knew birds could be such strategic geniuses? Coming in at number 9 is the fact that in the 1920s, horses had their own gas masks. This might seem unusual to us today, but let's delve into the history to understand why. The time frame is critical to note, for it was an era marked by profound change and substantial turmoil on a global scale. The world was recovering from the ravages of the First World War, a conflict that was unlike any other experienced before, mainly due to the widespread use of chemical weapons. Given this background, it should not surprise us that animals, particularly those used in warfare, needed protection as well. Horses, still significant in warfare and transportation during that time, were no exception. They were not only a mode, but were also used in light cavalry and in pulling artillery. They were directly exposed to the same dangers their human masters were, including the noxious gases that hung like a death cloud over the battlefields. So, a gas mask for horses was designed specifically for their protection. The goal was to shield these noble beasts from the harmful effects of chemical warfare, enabling them to continue serving their critical roles without suffering undue harm. The image of a horse equipped with a gas mask is indeed quite surreal. The contraption was designed to fit over the horse's muzzle and nostrils, with specially made filters to cleanse the air they breathed. They'd be comfortable enough for the horse to move around and perform its duties, yet effective enough to prevent the harmful substances from being inhaled. Picturing this now, the juxtaposition of such a quintessential symbol of peace and pastoral beauty, the horse, adorned with an emblem of human conflict and war, the gas mask, we can only marvel at the lengths to which humans went to preserve their war machinery. Imagine a horse running around in a gas mask, quite the sight, eh? At number 8, we find that the Romans used to clean and whiten their teeth with urine. Fascinatingly, we stumble upon this quirky fact revealing a lesser-known facet of Roman personal hygiene. This might be startling to many, but the Romans were known for their unique and often strange practices, and this was no exception. You might be wondering how they stumbled upon this unusual method. The answer remains a mystery, deeply buried in history. The Romans were renowned for their extensive knowledge about various substances, including their properties and uses. However, the fact that they used urine, a waste product, to maintain oral hygiene, is both captivating and slightly revolting. It's not that the Romans were oblivious to other cleaning agents available during their era, but it appears they had a particular preference for urine. What made them choose this over other means? Perhaps it was the urea present in urine, which has proven antibacterial properties. It could decompose into ammonia, a powerful cleaning agent, which they thought was ideal for their teeth. However, it's important to note that the dental hygiene practices of the Romans were far from perfect, with many suffering from dental problems due to poor nutrition and lack of modern dental care. Yet, this practice speaks volumes about their experimental nature. Their willingness to explore and implement new ideas is something that has contributed to the richness of their history and culture, which we still study and admire today. Nevertheless, despite its apparent effectiveness according to historical records, we wouldn't recommend trying this out for yourself. Oral hygiene has come a long way since those times, and we have a myriad of safer and more appealing alternatives available today. Just don't try this at home, folks. Number 7 brings us the fact that Napoleon Bonaparte was once attacked by a horde of bunnies. Now, Napoleon Bonaparte, as we know, was a man of great military intellect, someone who had successfully established dominance across large swathes of Europe. His strategic planning and tactical genius were nothing short of extraordinary, and his name was synonymous with victory. However, in one peculiar event, the tables turned dramatically. Picture this. The sun is setting, casting long shadows across the landscape. Napoleon, blissfully unaware of the impending doom, sees a large group of what appears to be harmless little creatures, rabbits. Fluffy, cute, and seemingly harmless, they hop towards him. The sight might have been endearing, even amusing if not for the sheer number of these creatures. What started as a curious encounter soon turned into a full-blown attack. The rabbits, in all their fluffy glory, swarmed around the great military leader. They weren't just surrounding him, they were attacking him with a ferocity that belied their innocent facade. It was a sight that no one could have predicted. Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who had reigned supreme over battlefields, now being overpowered by these small, furry creatures. One could argue that it's the unexpected enemies that proved to be the most dangerous. After all, who could have thought that such adorable creatures could pose a threat to the mighty Napoleon? But as this peculiar event unfolded, it became clear that even the most powerful individuals have their weaknesses. I guess everyone has their kryptonite. Securing our number 6 spot is the intriguing fact that none other than Albert Einstein, the genius physicist renowned for his theory of relativity, could have been the president of Israel. This might sound unusual, improbable even, but it is a fact steeped in the annals of history. In the year 1952, a significant event occurred in Einstein's life. It wasn't another breakthrough in quantum physics or an honorary degree from another prestigious university, but a political opportunity. The state of Israel was in search of a new leader, someone who could guide them through the post-war period, someone command respect on the international stage. Their choice was surprising, a physicist, not a politician. They turned to Albert Einstein, one of the most revered intellectuals of his time. Einstein, a German-born theoretical physicist, was considered a global icon, and his potential influence and charisma were unmatched. However, Einstein declined their offer. The reasons behind his refusal remain a subject and debate. Was it the daunting responsibility that deterred him? Or was it the reluctance to shift his focus away from his groundbreaking research work? Perhaps he felt unprepared to juggle the weighty tasks of politics with his relentless scientific discoveries. Nevertheless, his decision sheds light on his character. He was a scientist at heart, driven by the insatiable thirst to uncover the universe's secrets. And so, who knows? Maybe he was indeed far too engrossed in unraveling the mysteries of the universe to take up the task of running a country. At number 5, we learn that the shortest war in history was between Britain and Zanzibar on August 27, 1900. The war lasted a mere 38 to 45 minutes. Talk about a quick resolution. Number 4 takes us back to the time when the U.S. Air Force accidentally dropped a nuclear bomb on South Carolina in 1961. Thankfully, it didn't detonate. Now, that's what you call a close shave. Coming in at number 3, we have the fact that in the Middle Ages, people had a cure for baldness that included rubbing onions, honey, and the fat from a fox onto the scalp. Well, that's one way to keep people at a distance. At number 2, we find out that the Olympic Games used to award medals for art. From 1912 to 1948, you could win a medal for literature, music, painting, sculpture, and architecture. Picasso could have been an Olympic champ. And drumroll please for our number 1 spot. It's the fact that in ancient Egypt, servants were smeared with honey to attract flies away from the pharaoh. Talk about taking one for the team. So there you have it, folks. The next time you're feeling down, just remember you could be fighting off emus, getting attacked by bunnies, or worse, be a honey-coated fly magnet. It's been a wild ride through history, and we hope you've had a good laugh along the way. Until next time, keep smiling and keep learning. History, after all, isn't as dull as it seems.